Okay, so this is a quick video on the calculator specifics for that 11E.2 number 1. So there's the data, the observed table. I'm going to enter that into my graphing calculator. And so from the home screen, I'm going to try to do this. Look for the key on the keypad. You can kind of see the clicks. But just to, again, help you see what buttons. It's the matrix menu is the one that's most important that you need to be able to get to. And that would be, let's see if my ink tools will pop up here. So the matrix menu, you get to by clicking on your second button. And then it's this little X to the -1 button, the little inverse button. That is your matrix menu. So that is the keystrokes that I'm using for to get to the matrix menu. Once I'm in the matrix menu, the rest of that is pretty straightforward. So here we go. So second, matrix, and then I need to scroll over to the right. I'm arrowing over to the right to edit. And then I'm just going to select matrix A. I can see there's already something there. I don't care. That's from the previous examples. So I'm just going to change this to what I need my table to look like. And for this one, it's a 2. So I'm just going to hit enter. And then I need to change that to a 3. It's a 2 by 3 observed table. And my data for this was 11. So I'm just typing it in, hit enter. It'll move you on to the next cell automatically. 10, 11, 19, 26. 79, 68, and 69. So there's my observed table typed in. Now, to run your chi-square test, that's all I need to run a chi-square test. From here, I'm going to hit stat. So the stat button, I'm going to arrow over to the right to test. And I like to scroll up until I get to the chi-squared option. And that is option C. All right, so again, it is option C. I'm going to highlight this in just a moment, just so it's clear which option I'm talking about. Option, oh my goodness, I don't know what just happened. Let's see, pen tool, let's go. Option C, there we go. Option C, chi-square test. It's not D, it's not B, it's not A, it's not E. You get the idea. Right, option C, chi-square test. Okay, so once I select option C, I'm going to then notice it's matrix A is the one that's already there. I'm going to leave that because that's where I put my observed data. So hit enter, 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 and then calculate. And then you should get your chi-squared value, your p-value, and your degrees of freedom, which we had all from the previous problem. Okay. Now, real quick, if you do find that you need to change the matrix, so for example, if you're here, stat, test, and then you're doing a chi-square test, and let's say you did put your observed, your observed, let's say you did enter that into a different matrix, well then from here, you would go straight back to your matrix menu. So from this screen, you would hit second matrix, and then you don't go to edit, you're going to stay on the names. Notice at the top it says names. You're going to go down and select, for example, if I put it in matrix E, I would go down, hit enter on matrix E, and then that would be where it's going to enter, or that would be using the matrix I entered my observed values in. The expected matrix, that is simply where your calculator will dump all of the expected values into that matrix. So for example, if I go back and change, if I rerun this test, so second matrix, I'm going to select matrix A again. I'm just going to hit enter through this, run that chi-square test. Now, notice if I go back to my matrix menu, so second matrix, and I go to edit, and I look at matrix B. Well, this matrix is the expected values of that previous example. So this is all of the expected values. Notice you can see them right here. So 18.5 and 18.5 over there. You might have done all of those by hand. Your calculator will do those for you, but it just depends on if if you just have to calculate one of them, then you really don't want to take time necessarily to have to type this all in. I mean, you can, because it's likely you're going to have to run a chi-square test anyway. But notice here, so for example, this expected value is the expected value we got here. This expected value is the expected value we calculated. Okay? So your calculator will give you the expected values. It just depends on really how many that you have to do, whether it's easier just to write them all down or just calculate them by hand.